Hi there! Today we'll be reviewing a pen by a brand that I had never used before and have never reviewed before, so that's very exciting for me. We're talking about Taccia. I'm going to say Taccia. Maybe I'm supposed to pronounce it a different way. I thought it was an Italian brand. Turns out it's Japanese. I did not know that. This pen was supplied by Ron from penchalet.com, and they come in fine, medium, broad, and this is the broad nib version, and this is in fact the Savanna collection buffalo horn fountain pen. Okay, first you get this cardboard sleeve, nothing we haven't seen before, but from that point onwards I started to get very much impressed, because out of that comes nothing more or nothing else than a leather pouch, and this is, as far as I can tell, genuine leather. It really smells like leather. Which is very, very nice. It's a really cool pouch, and with a little zipper, which I think is very, very cool. Also, I mean, it really has that leather texture. I think it's really cool. Even if it's not actual leather, still think it's pretty cool. Okay, out come two little information things. There is the limited lifetime mechanical warranty, and there is the Taccia Savanna collection thing on how to fill the pen. At least I thought it was. Yes, how to fill the pen, etc. Okay, you get two cartridges which are proprietary models, so you cannot put your standard international short cartridges in here. And then you have the pen, and the pen is kept in place by a loop, and I think this is a very nice pen model. Also, Taccia is actually engraved into the leather. Here we have the pen, and this is a very fascinating pen, I would say. I'm going to cover the parts of the pen, tell what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then I'll do a writing sample. But first of all, as you can see, it's a pretty unique model. I know there are other pens like this. I know there are other Japanese brands who have this sort of bamboo-like structure to their pen. I know, but this is the first time I use a pen like that. Okay, at the finial, right there, we have the Taccia logo. A T and a C. And then we have this material, which is buffalo horn, and it really looks very, very cool. It has some nice colors to it. We have the clip with a little bit of horn in there, and then we have this interesting closure, which is a bit bamboo-like, between the cap and the barrel, and then here we have the barrel, which tapers out nicely, and again, I really like that material. Okay, you unscrew the cap, and then you get the nib, and I was a little bit disappointed by the size of the nib, because for such a big pen, I think it's on the small size, but it looks nice enough. It says Taccia Japan. It's steel with a bit of gold details. Then we have a section, we have some threads, and it's a big pen. You cannot post it. It doesn't post, it's not magnetic, it doesn't have any fancy features. But it's a big pen, so I probably wouldn't even post it even if I could. Okay, interesting thing is, what I like about this nib is, it may be me, but it looks like the nib is pointed downward ever so slightly, which should make for a nice writing experience. And the pen is filled, as I said, either cartridges or a converter. Now, please note the huge amount of twists it takes to open up this barrel. You can get some coffee now. And maybe some tea. Well, there we go. Alright. So that's a lot of threads. It doesn't even look like it's so many threads, but they really put in some threads on this side. Which you can see, actually. That's a lot of threads. Anyway, so if you have to fill the pen, reserve a couple of seconds to actually open up the pen. Okay, converter. Well, it's a converter. What can I say? I mean, it's a little bit sailor-like. This reminds me most of a sailor. Converter does what it's supposed to do. Draws of ink, no problems. Okay, let's screw this back in place. Count with me again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. 26 half twists. Alright, what do I like about the pen? What do I not like about the pen? Well, for me, this is a stunning piece. I think it really looks cool. This is something you can put in your desk. It's a conversation piece. A really nice material. I really like the way it's shaped. This tapering, tapers out again. Same thing with the cap. You have this nice connection point. I really think it looks gorgeous. It has a hefty weight. It's not the heaviest pen I've ever used, but it's definitely not light. It's big. I mean, this is not a small pen. I like all of that. I like this interesting little bit of the clip. A lot of attention for detail, I would say. What do I not like about the pen? Well, I have some beef with the nib. I find the nib very inconsistent. It can be nice and beautiful and fairly wet with pressure, but with no pressure it is very dry to the point where it actually stops writing. And I think for a pen at this price point, that is a big flaw. And that's something we see with a lot of pen manufacturers these days. I think what the case with this nib is that the nib slit is too tight, the tips touch. When I hold it up to the light, I don't see any light passing, and that will just hamper inflow. It's that simple. So if that is opened up a little bit, it's probably going to be a beautifully writing nib, but I left it as it is because I want to show you what the writing is like. So there you have it. I think that's the major point. And yes, it doesn't post. I know there are people who dislike that, but I mean, that would be pretty ridiculous to a pen to post. One final thing I will say is the threads on the section, I don't find them sharp. So it's a pretty small section, but I find it very comfortable to hold. And if you really don't like it, what you can always do with this pen is just hold it there at the top of the barrel. Even for someone with relatively large hands, there is enough material to grip, and you will not run out of space. So, very cool. I love this pen. Ron, thanks for sending me this. And guys, I think we need to see this in action. That's what we're going to do next. Before I do that, let me give you a couple of stats. The pen weighs 44 grams. Capped, it has a length of 15.29 centimeters, so that's about 6.02 inches. Uncapped, 5.41 inches, that's 13.8 centimeters. Section diameter is about 9.5 to 10 millimeters, so not super wide. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Let's look at this thing, let's look at what it can do. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Okay, so here we go with the Taccia Savanna. The nib is broad, and the ink is Mont Blanc Toffee Brown. Now I'm not using any pressure, and as you can see, this nib is just running dry. It is what it is, but it's dry. Let's do some writing. No pressure. This is what I meant when I said that I didn't find performance to be extremely impressive. I love the pen, I love the finish, but it runs super dry. Now what I want to do is do the same writing sample but with a bit more pressure. That opens up the nib tines a bit and allows more ink to flow. And then you get this. And I'm really not pressing down super hard, I'm not crushing the pen into the paper. You get a bit of feedback. It is a Japanese nib, I think a lot of them do that. I've noticed that with Sailor and Pilot. And now you get a much broader line compared to this, and a much wetter line. So I really think this is an issue of tuning your nib a little bit, but you should ask yourself if at this price point that is something you should have to do. Okay, a bit of fast writing. Well, we already know that this is not necessarily a pen that is the wettest in the world, so I try to apply a little bit of pressure to give you an idea, but you see that even so it's pretty dry and it skips. Okay, as to wetness, well, I have to do this as a two-step process too. This is under no pressure. And bear in mind this is a broad, but it's a Japanese broad, so that's close to Western medium. No pressure, that's what you get. With pressure, you get a much wetter line. As to line variation, there is a bit to be had. And then it seems to be a bit wetter too, because I've applied pressure again. So, very fascinating pen, but a nib that I will definitely tune a bit before I use it. I just wanted to show you the untuned version out of the box. I think this is what I'll make it right like, with some tuning up. Ron, thanks a lot for sending me this pen. I really enjoy it. It's a brand I've never used. I was quite enthusiastic about that, and I think it's a beautiful piece. Guys, I hope this review was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye.